We make chips. We make the baseband processor for cell phones.
It's the first real engineering job I had. We made giant parts for nuclear reactors.
I consult with the CIA, I consult with the Defense Department.
I'm working with stem cells.
Computational electromagnetics, fluid dynamics.
In bioinformatics work where we help people find new drugs.
15% of my time is spent in writing.
I actually wasn't expecting to write as much as I do now.
I spend a lot of time writing.
So a lot of my job is spent writing.
Probably writing 60-70% of the day on an average day.
I do think that writing is an important skill, and I think that it's something often overlooked by technical people, even shunned by technical people.
Did not appreciate writing. Thought it was sort of drudgery and would have much rather gotten back to programming.
When they said now write, a paper on, some novel, some poem, and analyze it in 15 pages, I think, God, I can't even think of more than 2 sentences what I would write about it.
When we had standardized testing, I would excel in science and math off the charts, highest percentile. When it came to reading comprehension and writing, I've never done well.
You think you're going to be solving problems and doing things that are very mathematical and, doing derivations, but there is some of that. But there's a lot more that goes on than just doing the actual problem solving, on paper, with paper and pencil.
But what I notice is with our technical people that there is definitely a correlation between how well they can write and how well they can communicate and their overall level of success.
If you cannot communicate, if you cannot write, if you cannot send an email, if you cannot make a point to a customer, you're going to have a handicap.
And I think we all know about the stereotype, and perhaps a well-deserved stereotype, of that nerdy engineer or that socially challenged scientist, stuck in the lab.
I mean, you really need to have good communication skills, good group skills, if you want to advance in the company.
I can imagine a person who could not speak any language and would not be able to write anything, and they could go do great science and not be able to tell anybody about it. And they would have all their discoveries to themselves, and they'd sit in their little room or maybe their big laboratory, whatever it might be, and they'd be unable to communicate that to anybody else. So that would not be a very good use of a scientist in my point of view.
I think one of the reasons you go into university is to really stretch yourself.
Take your physics courses, take your math courses. Be passionate about them because those are both beautiful subjects which I love very much. But nonetheless, focus on being a good communicator. Focus on being a good verbal communicator, a good written communicator, and focus on the human element that exists in every discipline, in every profession, because there's no profession where you won't need to interact with other people. There's no profession in which you won't need to be a good written communicator.
All these classes are just exciting and give you perspectives in fields outside of your main course of study. They just contribute to rounding out the person.
I honestly think that little series of literature, that it was a year I took, I think that helped me just immensely actually think through things and analyze things and be able to write that down on paper. So even though I cursed those classes at the time, I'm thankful for those classes now. So.